Diaz Gunners Collective. Back at it, you already know. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like a motherfucking ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like a motherfucking smack addict. Bye-ya. Bye-ya. Alright, as you can tell by that thumbnail right there, they rolled up. They showed up. They jumped on that motherfucking green goose and they got somewhere, right? We're talking about the Fresno Bulldogs. Now, I know other YouTubers have thrown it out there. About a week ago, I came across something and I peeped it out. And, I don't want to talk about prison stuff too much on my channel. Like I said, the prison genre, to me, definitely, man, is one of a dying breed, right? But at the same time, I felt it necessary in a Menudo Sana direct fashion to touch on this subject just based on, I have my perspective and my opinion on what's going on here concerning the Fresno Bulldogs and their motherfucking pull up or roll up or whatever it may be, whatever the case may be, to, of course, Pelican Bay. Now, we all know Pelican Bay is a notorious place, a notorious prison within the California Department of Corrections. It's always had that stigma. There's always been that attitude or that myth or that perception that Pelican Bay was that place. When you made it to the Bay, you made it. Okay? Over the last few recent years, High Desert has been that one. Salinas Valley, Soledad, whatever the case may be. There's several prisons that when you say these names, you take a step back, you take 2 steps forward and 2 steps back, right? You're like, oh shit, I'm going there. So I ain't trying to go there, but you're going there. Yeah, you're going where they put you. And that's the way administration is playing it. Okay, they have decided that if for no other reason to send 25 plus Bulldogs, Fresno Bulldogs active, people that claim the Bulldog affiliation allegedly are associated with the Bulldogs to Pelican Bay. Now, this is a first. Now, back in the days, pre-separation with the Norte, the Bulldogs were everywhere. Just like Norteños and Southsiders, they were everywhere, man. They were in several different yards. I'm not going to say that they were down south because administration kind of kept them away from there. I mean, that's just the way it's always been. But the Bulldogs were in several different places. After the separation, the split, administration got tired of, the war, the guerra. They got tired of all the different fighting. And they started to separate the Fresno Bulldogs and put them in their own prisons. They had a Corcoran level 4 yard. I know at one point they definitely were in Wasco, which was their reception as well as other places. But they kept them segregated. And they kept them segregated for 2 reasons. One, for the safety and security of the institution, not of them, but of the institution. And second, they weren't trying to do all the paperwork. Every time that there's an incident, a very big incident, which if they put the Bulldogs on several of these yards, there would be right off the top, whether it be at their hand or someone else's hand. Administration ain't trying to deal with all that. That's how they get down. Now, of course, times have changed, things have changed, and they've implemented, this putting people together, putting these different group segments that at one point in time they would have never even thought or thunk it to put them together. Now, all of a sudden, they're doing it. They're mixing and mingling, okay? Now, they've decided recently, to start with the Bulldogs. And I wanted to touch on this subject because, if for no other reason, why does it seem like the Bulldogs, the Fresno Bulldogs, are the first ones to be basically targeted? That's the way I look at it. It's a target situation. Now, they had to start somewhere, right? Whether it be the Norteños, the Southsiders, or whatever the case may be, they had to start somewhere, okay? And they started with the Fresno Bulldogs. And my perspective of it is because this group is not affiliated or associated with this end of hostilities. They're not associated with, trying to go out there and function on these yards together. When you're that one group, that renegade group, or that group that decides that if for no other reason you're not going to participate in the reindeer games, well, administration is going to make it hard for you because you've made it hard for them. So now they put a target on their back and they are targeting them. That's just facts. So they decided that if for no other reason to start with the Fresno Bulldogs by putting them here and there. Now there's been several incidences where they've put them in prisons that are pretty notoriously known to house one group or another. And I don't want to speak too much on, exactly what's going down on these fucking prison yards, who's rolling, who's under who, or who's That's none of our business. What goes on in there and behind those walls, that's them men's business. That's man's business, right? And they're going to handle their shit just like we'll handle our shit out here, on the streets, on the calles. They're not worried about us, and we don't need to worry about them. Grown men do grown men things. But at the same time, in a menudo style, direct fashion, we must focus on what's going on here, and that's the way CDC is playing this out. So for as far as shooting the Fresno Bulldogs to Pelican Bay, that's a done deal. See, there was a lot of people maybe about a few months ago when they first heard that there was going to be this bringing people together. There was a lot of people that were saying, nah, it will never work out. There's going to be too much bloodshed. After a while, the administration is going to get tired of it. But it seems like if they're in for a penny, they're in for a pound. It seems like they're going all the way. They're going for the gusto. They're going for that CB4 shit. They ain't playing. They have decided that for no other reason, they're going to force the hand of the gente. They're going to force people to get along. They're going to force people to conform to what they want, to the rules and regulations and the mandates of the CDC policy. Now, you got to understand, when you go to prison, when you go to jail, when you go to CYA, wherever you go, you are not in the Northern California Department of Corrections or the Southern California Department of Corrections or the Central Valley Department of Corrections. You are in the California Department of Corrections, meaning they can send you anywhere they want to. There's been several incidences where they've sent norteños down south, solo, bolo, like a sideways leaning cholo, and they got their whole Kool-Aid mixed up. There's been several incidences where they've sent southerners to predominantly northern yards where it got ugly. Okay, this is back in the days. Now times have changed. Things are a little bit different. Like I said, I've been out the mix. I've been out of prison for several years, and I don't keep up with exactly what they got going on. So I can't tell you how it would be if somebody rolled up to a certain yard, if they would be embraced, if there'd be canalismo, if there'd be showed some love, some respect, or if it'd be all out guerra and that's it. That's just how it is. Things vary from yard to yard. We do know that. But what I understand and what I've come to believe is that these Bulldogs, just like always, are against the grain. They have decided not to function with anybody and to take on all and any adversary that comes their way. Now, I commend them on that and I respect them on that. But at the same time, do I see that as the smartest decision? In some cases, yes. If you don't want to follow any rules, if you don't want to follow any regulations, any politics, if you just want to do your own damn thing, handle your business. You reap what you sow. There's going to be repercussions for every action. But at the same damn time, you need to understand that, a group like this are not the ones to be played with. They also will make that first move. Now, someone got at me the other day and he told me, come on, gun, let's keep it really the real deal, Holyfield with two ears. Straight up that the perro chatos, man, don't do anything unless they have numbers. And I said to him, and this is coming from a perspective of someone who's done time with them, who's been celled up with them, who's went against them in war times. Don't sleep on anybody. Everybody has hitters. Don't never underestimate the other man. Never underestimate the other guy's greed, right? You never underestimate the other man because you don't know what's going through their mentality. It's a fight or flight syndrome. I've seen some guys cower, refuse to get off the bus, shaking in their motherfucking state boots. And I've seen some get off and pull the biggest fucking thing that they've ever had in their asshole out and get you swinging like Conan the Barbarian. Orale, right? I've seen different situations at different times. And I'm telling you, everybody is willing, able, and capable of doing some of the unthinkable and some of the unknown, especially when you're in prison and you have to look out for one's own safety and security. Now, the Fresno Bulldogs did pull up to Pelican Bay. What happens? I was watching Josh, and if you guys haven't watched, he did a great spill on it. The homie Hangout, make sure you guys tap into his channel, man. His perspective on it was dead on. Nothing but facts, man. He came with some of the realest shit. And I commend him for that. He does his research, man. His shit is actual and factual. Some of the things that he said, some of the groups he mentioned, of course, I won't mention here just based on, I'm not going that route. I'm not disrespecting or putting anyone's business out there. But at the same time, I respect his perspective on, what he said. He's absolutely right when he said that they're confined to quarters right now. And they're going to be that way for a while. I think a couple months, maybe anywhere from 2 to 4 months, they will confine them to quarters till they decide what they want to do with these Bulldogs. Now, confined to quarters means They will be placed in a building within their cells with no action of going in and out, meaning no one can get to them. They can't get to anyone unless, of course, a new CEO makes a mistake and pops their doors, to which everybody knows, man, when that door pops, it's time to rock, right? That's well known within CDC. That's well known in any prison. If you have an enemy on the other side of that door, you don't disrespect, you don't bump baking soda breath, you don't scream out the door and J-Cat out. You fucking stay ready so you don't have to get ready, so that way if that door does pop, you come out prepared for whatever may take place. You already know what it is. We're not going to speak on that. But they are definitely confined to quarters. How is administration going to play it with the Bulldogs? Well, the Bulldogs are a rough group. Okay, I'm not going to speak on the Fresno Bulldogs of the calles and how their association or their affiliation is in the streets of Fresno. We all know there's different cliques, different groups. They got different gangs and different things going on. And that's their business. But what we do know is in prison, they all come together for power, right? The Bulldogs come together and they are one. Whether if they're from Pinedale, Huron, Calwa, fucking Malaga, fucking Parkside, West Side, East Side, Fresno. They're all together as one, and they function under one bandera, meaning the Bulldog faction. Now, do they have shot callers? Do they have a hierarchy? No, I'm sure they have big homeboys that have been around the block, man, that they kind of take advice from. But they're more of a renegade group, but do whatever they feel like, you know. But they do move as one, okay? They move it with one purpose. The purpose is defending their fucking spot, defending their safety and security, and proclaiming their name. Letting it be known that they are going to be out there on that yard. Now, will they be able to establish on a yard, a historic yard such as Pelican Bay? One never knows, does one? The wind might blow that day. I definitely do believe that administration will throw them out there. Will they throw all 25 out there on the yard one day together? Probably not. That's not the way administration works. See, they don't want a bloodbath. They don't want that to happen, or maybe they do. One never knows. But what I think, just from my perspective of having done time and knowing how they get down, I think they'll throw them out maybe a couple cells at a time, 4 or 5 at a time, 6 at a time, just to see exactly what's going to happen. Now, it could go any way, gente. You know, if that yard is functioning, they got a lot going on, man. It's peacetime. The yard's fucking doing their thing. There's a lot more shit that's going on that counts just a little bit more than guerra. Then I will say maybe they'll let the perros come out there, and maybe there will be some talks, and maybe there won't. You know, it all depends on who's on the yard at that particular time and exactly what's going through everyone else's mind. You know, of course, knowing how the Bulldogs roll and being associated with them for so long, these guys are not going to come out to talk. They're going to come out with the understanding that they are considered the adversary, the number one target, and they're going to come out to play. Orale, can I give them a 200 when I pass go? They're coming out to play. They're coming out for war. You know, there's a lot of people that sleep on the Bulldogs and have a bad misconception or perception of them. They think that they're a dropout gang. They think that these guys are only confined to Fresno, or because the fucking administration put them in one place, that's why they're brave. But obviously you're seeing now they're sending them everywhere. Okay? The Bulldog gang is one of individuals, man. It's a hard thing to be. See, I've always said to people, there's 2 hard things to be in California Department of Corrections. You know, it ain't hard being brown. We does that because we do. What else can we do, right? The hardest thing to be in prison is a white crit or white blood, right? Shout out to my boy Wack Deuce. He done did that, right? That's a very hard thing to be because you got your own people checking you out, seeing if you're really about that life. And then, of course, you got your own ethnicity or race, man, pinpointing you and targeting you because they feel that you have went and jumped on the wrong side of the boat. So that's a hard thing to be. A very hard thing to be. And anyone that's been in prison will tell you, man, when you see a white boy, sprinkle in the woods, brother, that are associated or affiliated with a different gang or a different racial gang, it's very, everyone notices. Put it like that. Everyone's like, oh, shit, that motherfucker, you better be with it. And for the most part, the ones that do that and do slide by and are allowed to walk the yardas and hit them yards and do their thing are about the business. Now, the second thing that's hard to be in prison is a Bulldog. You have to understand, imagine going to a place, the Department of Corrections, where you have to be in a certain area or a certain place with your own people. And if you don't happen to catch that bus, if you happen to slide through the cracks, any fucking prison you go to, you have enemigos. Any prison you go to, you're the A1A target. You're going to be hit immediately. So you have to get off. I've seen people, myself, be placed in certain prisons where you have to get off, you have to get off, you have to get off whole time. And it makes it for a rather fucking unbecoming fucking time, right? You just went to go 2 years, you could turn 2 to 25 because at the same time, every time that they keep throwing you to these places, you also get a 115. You also get a write-up for a unilateral assault or a mutual combat. I mean, that's just the way it goes. They're not going to pick and choose sides. Administration don't give a fuck. Lock them all up in the oil, write them all up, get them off our yard. That's exactly what time it is. Even though they're the ones who made the mistake by putting this person on this yard, it ain't no mistake to write them up. And that's exactly what they do. So what's going to happen in Pelican Bay? We know Pelican Bay is notorious. When you hear Pelican Bay, you think hardcore. You think the shoe. You think heavy hitters. Okay, you think people that we shouldn't speak on ever or disrespect. You think the riot that happened, there's a lot. You think 32 knockouts by Big U. These are the things that you think about, right? But what people don't understand is there's also functioning yards there that are just doing their thing, trying to do their time. It's bad enough that they're far away from home, from their families, so everyone's a little frustrated. Now, it ain't like high desert where you put all the guys that just don't give a fuck together. There's people in Pelican Bay that are trying to get back to their families. There's people in Pelican Bay that are really trying to go back up north or back down south or whatever the case may be. They're trying to get anywhere closer than they got hardships. So they're trying to get anywhere closer they can to their family. And now, administration at, of course, holiday season has decided to bring the Fresno Bulldogs into town to join in the reindeer games. Now, these other groups, I won't speak for them. There's no reason for me to speak for them because I don't know exactly what's going through their mind, what's on their mindset. But I definitely know that they're definitely prepared for whatever the case may be, for whoever gets thrown out on the yard. They stay prepared. Are they willing and able to let the Bulldogs establish on these yards? And they haven't, so we'll see what happens. We'll see if time has changed, if time heals old wounds. There's been a lot of bloodshed. There's been a lot of blood spilt, man, between all these different groups, Here's a perspective that no one ever talks about. And I wanted to speak on it. We already know, man, when it comes to Mexicans, we're different. We function different. And there's rules to this shit. And we need to leave it like that and stay quiet with it. Pobrecito the Bulldogs for the way that they're doing them, administration. But I'm sure they're grown men enough to handle their own. We will see. We shall see. What's the pinpoint on what the Africanos, the black brothers, and the whites think about this situation and the others? Are they just going to sit back and enjoy the ride and watch everything as it unfolds and goes down? Or are they going to side with one side or the other and assist? The Perro Chatos have always been cool with the Africano brothers just like Norteños have been. Will they assist the Bulldogs feeling, hey, man, these guys are up short? Or will they just say, hey, man, shit, yeah, this ain't got nothing to do with the song Correct on Paru, right? Say it with your chest, Bulldog, right? We don't know. Will the white guys decide to take a back seat on this, or will they associate and assist, the Southerners or the Northerners? We don't know. It's going to be something to definitely look at, something to watch, but something we shouldn't speak on too much because, again, it is nobody's business. But what goes on behind those walls, homes, will play out how it plays out. History repeats itself. So will there be war? I'm sure it ain't just going to be all, hey, Sasuke, come on. All right, we forgive you. It ain't going to be none of that. There must be blood spilled, homes, and blood shed to build a solid foundation. Every foundation in prison is built on blood, right? It was fought for. The establishment was real. The forefathers fought for that. They didn't just say, okay, we get this side of the yard, you get that side of the yard, ready, hug. Sasuke, fuck that. They'll injure you, okay? And that's just the way it is. So we're going to play it out. We're going to see how it is. But the Bulldogs have definitely rolled up to Pelican Bay. Shout out again to the homie Hangout for breaking that news about a week ago. They've definitely rolled up, and now it's time to see exactly what's going to happen. My only qualm with this whole issue is why the administration keeps targeting them. But again, like I said, when there's that one group that's a little bit smaller in numbers compared to the other groups, of course, man, someone had to go first. That's it. Might as well have been the Perro Chatos. It seems like their whole fucking ever since they've been doing what they does, because they've always been the ones with the focus on them, and that's because they put the focus on themselves. You know, they always go against the grain. When this end of hostilities was implemented, they did have their chance to become involved in it, to which they denied it for their own reasoning. Okay, so now it's put up or shut up time. Do I think I think the Bulldogs will prevail and win? And no, absolutely not. The numbers are not in their favor. Now, I know numbers aren't everything, but they count. They definitely count. But there will be some battles that are won and lost by all, right? But I definitely think that they will show up to the party with their tap dancing shoes on. Everybody will. That's just the way it is. Anyways, that's my perspective on the situation. We'll see how it all plays out. Shout out to the Perro Chatos, Norteños, Southsiders, everyone that's getting down. All the raza that's behind the walls. I hope that you all guys, that everybody stays safe. I hope that nobody has to get involved in anything they don't want to get involved in. But I understand the game, man. There were certain situations, it was like, damn, bro, we're going to stand in motherfucking fuck. Shit, I was just trying to watch Judge Watner. Anyways, with that being said, hope that you move smooth with a purpose. Hope that you get everything that you want coming to you. Remember, at the end of the day, it's all about you and your familia. Stay focused on what's here, man. Just like them vatos in there will stay focused on what's there. And everybody will do their thing, man. Treat everybody with respect, because respect is how you want to be treated. Definitely, man. To the Perro Chatos, keep doing what you does, man. The shit don't stop. You know, it ain't never has, never will. I guarantee you that. If you like this, hit that like and subscribe with a thumbs up. If not, you can hit that thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears this brand new Bull's crown. And I'm going to continue to struggle and strive for what I truly believe in. And that's the coming together of everybody, man. I believe everybody has their voices, and their voices should be heard and felt. And I believe that everybody should be respected. The gun. Bang, bang.